but who has a question? And as promised, let's start with a question for Michael. But if you have a question for Edward or Brendan, please come and line up now. We've got a good 15 minutes for this, so this is any opportunity you've ever wanted to ask any of these three gentlemen. And we have a first person on mic. Is the lady... gentleman there. Terrific. Let's start with this side. Thank you, sir.
That really got me just then. My brother died of motor neurone, and I suppose I was very moved by what you just did, so thank you very much. I suppose to the panel, how do I convert that into taking, I suppose, what I see as a problem at the moment with the sense of greed that's in the community, in the world at the moment, and pushing forward organisations like my own to expand our thinking, to get past this, which I think is a rut, so that we can explode.
Michael, do you want to answer first?
I think it's a journey that we're on, and it's a personal journey that our organisations will change when we change. And as we bring ourselves more fully into work, then that's the only way it can change. And that's been, it's the Gandhi, be the change you want to see in the world. I can't see any other way than to actually do it that way. And it'll take time, but it's happening. It's happening. We are changing as a society because we are changing.
Edward or Brendan, would you like to add?
Yes, I think there's two things people want their whole lives from being infants to old age. One is significance, and the other is achievement. Now, significant means within your family, within your gang, within your company. Significance, how you relate to others or how you perceive yourself as being significant. Achievement means doing something and seeing it happen. Now, if you don't have possibilities of achievement, then greed comes in because that is the only form of achievement. So if you create other forms of achievement open to people, then the greed gets diminished. So ways in which people can say, I've done something. I can see that I've achieved something. That's the key way to diminish perhaps the necessity just for greed.
Brendan?
Yeah, I think it's leading by example. If you have great stories about people who are happier or people who are having a more playful life, that's a better story to talk about than, the person who's won out by greed. So more stories about that.
Cool. Lady in blue.
Hi, my question's for Edward. However, I'm very unfamiliar with Brendan's work, so he may want to answer the question after Edward de Bono, please. Are you aware or have you been involved with any programs that have tried to integrate your thinking tools and thinking hats with arts?
Well, as say the individuals who may have done, I'm not...
In education?
Yes, I'm not aware of any formal efforts, but individual teachers may have done, yes. But I'm not aware of any formal approach. No.
Yeah, I would just answer, for design thinking in the program at the Stanford D School, it's an elective program. All the students are grad students from all the other schools. So whether from the arts or engineering or science, and they're all taking away the type of tools and putting them back in their world.
Okay.
Sorry, can I just clarify something? I was
Sure.
talking about primary school, high school, and using the arts and these sorts of thinking tools actually to build innovation capacity. So not with a specific design outcome in mind and young children.
Yeah, I don't think it was with the design outcome in mind. I think it's about training, making innovators as far as the way they think. The Stanford program has a K through 12 that's teaching teachers around the program, whether they use that in art or any of the other type of classes. At IDEO, we've got a teacher's toolkit online that you can download for free and use those tools. So we're trying to push that type of thinking into any type of program.
Okay, lady there.
Just a very quick question for Brendan. Your book about the klutz inventions actually reminds me a lot of the Japanese chindogu, which is like the almost useless inventions, like the baby suit that has a mop on it and the chin rest for the people who sleep on the subways. Were you inspired by the chindogu, or was it something that that you thought you know what, I want to create my own
No,
version of
we
this?
were definitely inspired, and we've cited that in the book. That's great. The thinking on the book is not to just go out and create crazy ideas. It's to have an environment that allows that type of thinking, so when you get the brilliant idea, it doesn't get shot down soon enough. So we're trying to push a little bit different point of view, but we reference that, and there's Philip Gardner's book, too, which was in the 60s. That was quite wonderful around the same type of thinking. If you haven't seen that, you should take a look at that one.
Sure, those ridiculous ideas really do create delight, I think.
Thank you.
Andrew.
Got a bit of a doozy of a question for Michael, but just quickly, I just wanted to say a quick thanks to Brendan, because it was the Klutz Book of Bubbles that was my original source text that I used when I first got into bubbles. Anyway, Michael, do you think we're on the verge of a paradigm shift in business from commercial and protection style approaches, i.e. intellectual property style and commercialization approaches to business, and a shift from that into social entrepreneurship? And if that's the case, what impact do you think that could have in the global economic crisis? In the global economies as we make that shift to a global, social enterprise kind of economies?
I definitely think there's a shift happening. How many people here have read any of the spiral dynamics works? Just go, so a lot, right? So, the concept is, for those who haven't read it, that there are these sort of different ways that you experience the world, and essentially it's like a Maslow's hierarchy, and you have a centre of gravity at one level, and most of Western society, and particularly Western business, has been at an achievement level. So we view everything through an achievement mindset, which is a modernist mindset, which is about progress, and it's about atomization and logic and analysis, and what we're actually going through, if you look at the meta level, is we're going through a shift from that model, and there's a sort of postmodern model, if I can call it that, which is multiple. There are multiple views, and then there's a shift. And we're sort of 40% of Western business leaders are currently modernists. And 20-odd% are actually postmodernists in the way they perceive the world at the moment from the research that we've seen. There's a small number of them that are actually what you might call integral thinkers. And integral thinkers are essentially seeing the world from a place that's much more about the whole system, which includes the social sort of parts of the system. And the integral thinker, for instance, goes to buy a shoe and says, the modernist says, show me the best shoe. What's the cheapest one and the best one? And the integral thinker says, well, how was it made? Oh, it was made in a sweatshop in Indonesia. Actually, I don't like that shoe. Give me this other one, right? So that's sort of the difference. Now, the research suggests that there are 10 to 15% of the Western world sort of leaders in the world of business are actually integral thinkers these days. Now, until we get to a critical mass of about 30 of those, we're sort of in this world between worlds. But actually, and it's growing at about 1% per annum, this sort of meta thinking shift. So within 15 years, we'll probably at a switch point where the answer to your question will be absolutely yes. At the moment, we're in that point where it feels like these two worlds are sort of clashing, and some people are very much in this new world, but a lot of people are actually not in that world, and there's a sort of a world of a war of ideas going on. So that's my answer to that. And I've absolutely seen it change in my 25 years, but particularly the last 15. When I've been leading this work for McKinsey globally, there are conversations that you could not have 15 years ago that were just considered ridiculous, that are now considered, totally acceptable. So in business, so I think it's as we change, again, what is business? Business is just organisations of us to get things done in the society because we can't do them on our own, like build a telecom network so I think as we are changing, it's changing.